Welcome back, everyone. We're diving deep today, deep into Russia's goals in Ukraine.
Goals, aims, objectives, whatever you want to call them.
Exactly. And I think it's, really important right now to try and understand because it's easy to get lost in the day-to-day.
Oh, absolutely. The
It,
fog of war,
yeah,
headlines and all that.
right. So we're going beyond that, beyond the
Yeah.
headlines, trying to figure out what's the end game here for Russia. Luckily, we've got some pretty fascinating material to dig into today.
Yeah. Lay it on me.
So we've got recent statements straight from, well, not Putin himself, but top Russian officials.
Always got to read between the lines with those.
Yeah, and we're going to do that. Plus, we've got some in-depth analysis from both the American Institute for the Study of War, that's the ISW, by the way, in case you're not familiar.
Yeah, the ISW, they put out some really good stuff. Very thorough.
Right, top-notch military analysis. And on top of that, we've got insights from Ukraine's own intelligence agency, the HUR.
Yeah.
So we're getting perspectives from all sides here. So the big question is, what does Russia really want in Ukraine?
The million-dollar question. And, well, looking at these sources, there are some pretty clear answers, but also some really concerning contradictions between what they're saying and what they seem to actually be doing.
Right. Like, take Sergei Naryshkin, for example.
The Foreign Intelligence Service guy.
Yeah, the head honcho over there.
Yeah.
He recently said that, Russia's open to negotiations,
Mm.
wants to find a peaceful solution and all that. But then in the same breath, he completely rejects the idea of, like, freezing the conflict.
A freeze.
Yeah, like a ceasefire, a DMZ, anything that would kind of just pause things where they are now.
Interesting. So, wants peace, but not that kind of peace.
Exactly. And he even said something about the need to eliminate the reasons behind the invasion. So to me, that doesn't sound like a guy looking for compromise.
No, it does not. And that wording, eliminate the reasons, that's very deliberate. It suggests something far more absolute than just, say, a negotiated settlement over territory.
You think he's talking about regime change in Ukraine?
It's certainly possible. Or, at the very least, it points towards Russia demanding Ukraine's total capitulation as the only acceptable path to peace. Essentially, it's surrender or we keep fighting.
Which is pretty chilling when you think about it.
Right.
And you know what? The ISW analysis actually supports that interpretation.
Really? Fill me in.
Yeah, so they point out that consistently, Russia demands Ukraine cede all L territory within the 4 annexed regions.
All of them.
Yeah.
Even the parts they don't fully control yet.
Exactly, which is wild, right? Like, they're demanding land they don't even have yet.
Yeah, that's not exactly the basis for good faith negotiations, is it? It really does suggest that their ambitions might actually go even beyond those 4 regions.
Do you think they're just using these negotiations as a smokescreen? Like, to buy time and prepare for an even bigger land grab?
I mean, it's definitely something to consider. And the ISW report highlights a specific area that I think is worth watching closely. The southeastern Dnipropetrovsk Oblast.
Dnipropetrovsk. Why that region?
Well, controlling that region would give them a direct land route to fully occupy Donetsk Oblast, which, has been a key objective for them from the very beginning.
Makes sense, strategically.
Right. So if Russia is aiming for complete control of Donetsk, then taking Dnipropetrovsk makes a lot of sense, even if they haven't said so explicitly.
And then there's that document, the one uncovered by Ukraine's HUR, talk about long-term goals.
Oh, yeah, the one outlining Russia's potential plans for Ukraine, right?
Yeah.
Divided into 3 sections by, 2045?
2045, that's like decades away. It's crazy.
Yeah, that document definitely offers let's say a chilling look into the future that Russia might be envisioning.
So this is way bigger than just the current fighting.
Absolutely. The HUR's assessment is that Russia's ultimate aim, their grand objective, is full occupation and control of Ukraine. Economic, demographic, territorial, military, everything.
Wow. That's a whole different ballgame,
Yeah.
If Russia won't compromise, what leverage does Ukraine even have in these supposed negotiations?
Yeah, that's the real dilemma here, isn't it? If Russia is determined to achieve total victory on their terms, how can any negotiation possibly succeed?
Yeah, and it raises the stakes for all the countries supporting Ukraine too, right?
Absolutely. If the goal is to help Ukraine achieve a lasting peace that preserves their sovereignty, then the level of support, the types of aid, everything needs to be reevaluated. Can't just be about maintaining the status quo or preventing a total Russian victory.
It's a lot to think about. I mean, what we're seeing here from both the Russian statements And the analysis of these intelligence groups is a picture of a Russia that's aiming for total control.
Total control, yep. And potentially even going further than the territories they've already claimed, which is a really scary thought.
It is, and it leaves us with this question, the big one. Considering all this, Russia's long-term ambitions and their apparent unwillingness to compromise, what does a path to lasting peace even look like?
Right. Is there a solution that somehow addresses both Ukraine's desire for self-determination and whatever legitimate security concerns Russia might have? Or are we just looking at a long, drawn-out conflict with consequences that could reach far beyond Ukraine's borders?
Big questions, ones we don't have easy answers to.
And
But definitely things worth pondering as we all continue to learn about and grapple with this incredibly complex conflict.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll be back soon to deep dive into more of the latest developments.